Hello everyone, it's me Varus. We have a major winter storm on the way for much of the north central US. Major severe weather on the way and big time rains for the northeast. After that, a big pattern change ensues where the northeast, mid-Atlantic, and even portions of the southeast may start to get into some wintry weather, including the central portions of the US. We'll talk about all of that and more in this video. So let's get right into it. So today, Friday, last video of the week, but I am contemplating on making a video this weekend, just given that there's been some big changes. We'll get to that at the end, but just know that I have that on my radar, not confirming it for sure yet. But it's an active Friday today, for many areas, especially for areas in the eastern two-thirds of the U.S., which I have been talking about the past couple days. Starting on the west, kind of these high pressures in control. These ones are pretty strong, 1041, 1037. So generally nice weather over here in the west. Kind of got a little break from all those scattered snow showers we had in the higher elevations and rain showers in the lower elevations. Head further south and east and it's a different story. We have a pretty pretty weak low pressure right now, at least 1009 millibars, but it's there. And I mean, it has a cold front, has a warm front, even has kind of signs of a stationary / occluded front. So the stationary front tells me that's not moving much quite yet, still getting its act together as much as it can before it ejects north and east. And actually it's not going to be tracking like that. It'll probably track a little more east and then it'll eject somewhere like that, maybe even coming along the spine of the Appalachian. So you'll actually kind of see it drop and then it comes through the spine. So this track looks more likely. So snow for these areas. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how that takes place. Out ahead of that, we had that big low pressure I talked about yesterday. That is well into eastern Canada and continues moving north and east. With that, a big cold front honestly extends all the way down to the Gulf Coast and a little warm front over here. Why does it kind of curve like that? Well, cold air damming. You have some cold air damming, high pressure, well offshore, but you're still getting some nice light cooler air in these areas. Obviously nothing wintry, but there is cooler in this area than say over here, and we can kind of see that with temperatures. Let's do a little contrast. 64, it's a little blurry, but 64 here in north central North Carolina. Go a little closer to the coast, 74. And so it's definitely warmer as you head kind of outside. Mainly also because this is the coastal areas, but I'm here 62, 75. So pretty big contrasts currently going on. And so lots of evolving going to continue through. And then we'll have that upper level trough that digs through. So first storm likely will head a little more south and east, take shape and really heads kind of towards this track, maybe more towards Appalachian. Not like that. Possibly more like that. And so still got to see which goes on, probably likely in the middle, closer towards Appalachian track. Either way, it's going to be very dynamic, very heavy snows possible in these areas. We'll get to that in a bit. And further south, kind of in here. Let's take a look at that right now. So, we'll use the RGEM. I love the RGEM, if you don't already know. So, here's your northern piece of energy kind of through here. Low kind of traverses south and east, gets its act together right there. This is on the Louisiana-Mississippi border. North piece energy right here. Upper level trough, ULL right here. Spinning these other lighter snow showers around this area. 540 line, well south compared to what it was before with the previous storm. This time, almost into St. Louis, past Chicago. So you do get some trends for Chicago. So further south, so St. Louis, these areas, even arguably up through here, it's not going to be as much moisture, because I've been talking about this. These two pieces of energy are honestly still kind of far apart. So this low doesn't really get its act together till it gets over here, and so that's why you're going to get more precipitation the further north and east you go. So Chicago could actually start some rain, or at least white rain, so melting snowflakes, just because ground temperatures may be very marginal with this storm, at least on onset. Once that upper level trough comes through, you can see some snow really starting to kind of mix back in, but it's going to be interesting to see how much that cold air wins over. I do think there will be snow, but how much of it sticks will be the main question. Sticking on roads, pretty big question. If it comes earlier, sure, but right now it looks to come mid-morning, and temperatures may be marginal. That's also, I think, why we're seeing more rain trying to mix in. If it came earlier, it would probably be all snow overnight, but comes in further through the daytime, so rain still mix may be more probable. So we'll have to watch that. Here's one of the low pressure. It's kind of the upper level low. I mean, the center is over here, but you'll see a little low pressure jumping around with this northern branch of energy. And then you just have this moisture slug straight from the Gulf. So you're going to get ready for some heavy, steady rains and a severe threat for portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. We saw that slight risk I showed yesterday in those same areas. New Orleans is one of those areas that are in it. So as we continue this, here's your snow. Chicago, rain snow mix. We'll see how much of it sticks. More on the grassy surfaces. Highly doubt anything's on the roads. Michigan, especially the northern portion of Michigan, should get more impactful snows deeper in the cold, and that upper level low as it kind of swings through gets that northwest flow kicking. So you got prolonged snow from 1 p.m. January 10th through the entire day, almost Sunday, and into the entire day, the rest of the day, Saturday into Sunday morning. So we'll watch that. Here's your low pressure, kind of transfers north. So there will be kind of this one main low that kind of jumps around here, upper level low kind of around here, and then you'll eventually get a coastal transfer offshore. It's a very dynamic and interesting setup, honestly. So yeah, here's your big heavy snow. It's going to be dynamic snow. Toronto is a place that could be interesting, especially I'd say north of Toronto is where you could have some dynamic snows where your coastal transfer begins to take place. So rain for even the interior northeast. I mean, you got to be the interior northern New England. Even upstate New York has had trends with some warmer air, and so less snow, more of a mixed zone in here. I'd say snow, at least winter precipitation, possibly in these areas. You got to be confined up into these areas if you want some kind of accumulating snow even. So upstate New York, it's going to be, honestly, dynamic cooling will be a major factor. If precipitation rates are heavier, snow, mainly in the higher elevations. If it's lighter, then more rain. That applies for northern New Hampshire, northern Vermont, and into much of Maine. Coastal Maine could experience some kind of rain mixing in, like Portland, Augusta, right along the coast, could have some more rain. And I mean, with that low coastal transfer, as it kind of goes through here, the slightest of warm air advection could continue. And you kind of see that low, see how these isobars start to pack together. There's your coastal low taking place. Say both of these lows track like 300, 500 miles more south and east, you could have a snowstorm proportion to the northeast mid-Atlantic, but tracks interior. I mean, also because you have the ridge in the east, so everything would have to shift. But yeah, there's your low, there's your transfer. See that low pop off, and then it's snow for much of the, and then kind of like Atlantic Canada, snow to rain, typical snow to rain event. I mean, it really bottoms out once it gets into Atlantic Canada. And right behind that, look at that cold air. Upper level trough dives through. Many areas will see 70s going over to 40s and 30s, even 20s in many areas. And you see that trough, it doesn't go anywhere. And it'll likely get reinforced by the solar clipper that comes through. So, yeah. Let's talk about the long range. I really want to get into long range because there's been some, honestly, hype on social media. I mean, with winter weather and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, I've seen a lot of, honestly, hype. And honestly, I'll buy it. I'm buying quite a bit of it, actually. I wouldn't say I'm bullish, but I'm not bearish either. I definitely think we have an interesting threat. So here's your ridge. This is 6 hours ago. Ridge, I mean, it's still here. Here's a coastal storm. This is what's bringing that pattern change. This is a 12Z Euro. I decided to make this video a little later so I could get that 12Z. Pretty dynamic storm. Shakes things up, and boom. There's your pattern change. Trough in the east. Ridge in the west, okay? And here it really gets kicked off. So here's your first winter weather threat, okay? You have your ridge in the west. Let's talk about things I like. We always do this. Very strong. It's a strong ridge, okay? It's not necessarily tall, but it's strong. And you can see it's attempting, I mean, it starts to get into southern Alaska. You like that. Negative NAO, a little more central to eastern base would likely... I'll talk about the negatives later. You got your negative NAO. Still have Atlantic Ridge. You like this, okay? You like this. I know you honestly want a 50-50 low. You'd probably want this slightly more backed up. Just the slightest. Okay, wait. Again, I need to talk about the negatives later. So you have your Atlantic Ridge, technical 50-50 low signature there. some sort of Gulf of Alaska low-ish kind of there. And then you also have this trough that's digging, first of all. And it's a good position. It's strong, too. It's very strong. And it's digging down there. So North Stream and Southern Stream can have some sort of interaction. What I don't like, or what I like to see, everything backed up a little more west, okay? 50-50 low, ridge, west. This a little more west, honestly, with the trough. More of a neutral to negative tilt. Ridge. This you kind of honestly want to squeeze in a little more east. And you've seen that. I mean, it was kind of out here. It's a little more west now. You don't even need it all the way to Montana. Even if you get it like right here. You'd want it to also want it to spike more into Alaska. Don't want this troughing over Alaska. Gulf of Alaska low, you want to undercut this ridge. And negative NAO stronger and more west. That's what I say. You don't need this. But it would be if you'd want a more ideal setup. And something good, also you have your upper level low right here, so you have a cold air feed. Okay, especially for areas east of this line. Okay, so you have your cold air feed. So this is your first threat. Okay, this is your first threat. North Stream dives down, catches a Southern Stream energy. We see if that trough goes negative and neutral. Either guides it up the coast or out to sea and nothing. Okay, cold air will be there. I know some people are talking about cold air issues. I do not see that. So that's why I say it might be marginal at the surface, but above us, it's going to be plenty cold. So that stuff we'll have to sort out as we get closer. There's your first kind of energy. Right behind it, boom. There's your next threat right here. Okay, this is 18, 19, 20th. I like this one a little more. Why? First of all, your ridge, it's a little more east. It's spiking up in Alaska. No more positive EPO. You have your negative EPO. 50-50 low signature, a little stronger, a little more backed up. Beautiful Atlantic ridge over here. Okay, and negative NAO is still there. Weak, obviously, but negative NAO is still there. But the most thing I like is this ridge. Okay, it's spiking in Alaska. Further east allows more downstream amplification. North Stream can actually get down there. Your trough axis also is neutral to almost slightly negative here. So that means any shortwave piece of energy in the Southern Stream gets picked up and guided up the coast. Okay, it's able to kind of act as a bowling ball and it gets like that. Okay, that's why I like this threat a little more. But those are your two threats. You're not going to get both. Okay, I don't think you're going to get both. One of them going to be a near miss, and then you'll get another big one. Or both of them miss, one of them hits, I'd say. Okay, just because I've seen that a lot. Social media, and I kind of agree. I've never really seen a time we've got both. But even after that, so that's what this next week, I'd say. So next week, two threats, okay? After that, also with this, if you remember my past couple videos, we saw that this big trough like extend almost into the west and kind of stayed up here. And you know, your southeast ridge flexing. That has delayed, okay? I think maybe we can go back a couple runs. 12Z, I mean, look at that. Complete change from then, where we had ridging in the southeast, to troughing. Okay, and then you start to see the ridge kind of get back in the east. And this is where it gets, it's far out, so we'll have to see. We've constantly seen delays, and it's always a warm bias. But this would be January 22nd. So let me actually pull up my calendar real quick. That is well over. Hold on. That is not the week, not next week, but the week after. Okay, getting to the week after, almost late week after. So there you have kind of a strong southeast ridge, overall ridge, and then troughing in the east. I meant west, and then we'll have to see how that happens. And then you could get negative NAO that starts to vanish. That's also another possible storm threat before this ridge comes in, which would be. When would that be? That's basically 21st, 22nd. Maybe you get something that maybe be more interior, and then that has a. We'll have to watch that. That's way out. So let's kind of look at some fantasy runs. Not fantasy runs, but see what models are putting out. But we'll do GFS, Euro AI, and then GFS AI. So 18Z just loading in. Kind of wish I had the model, but we'll go to 12Z. 12Z GFS, honestly pretty interesting. So here's your dynamic storm, upper level low, trough sets in. Here's your first threat, okay? Near miss. I mean, for southeast snow lovers, you got a winter storm for the southeast, okay? I mean, this is why. See how you're kind of these light blue dotted, dark blue technically, dotted lines kind of bowing out like this. That's how you know you have a positively tilted trough. If it goes like that, that's positive. Neutral, negative. Okay? Ideally, you'd want this trough more like this, the axis, or like this. Okay? But since it's positively tilted, everything's moving with it and kinking it out to sea. Okay, here's your low. You have your low. If you had, again, negative or positive tilted trough, it would guide it up. Okay, but since it's or negative or neutral, two ends, you'd want to start with the N. But since you have a positive, this L gets kinked out like that. But you also still have North Stream energy, and so it does start to go neutral. There's kind of neutral-ish. It begins. You have your low popping off. 997 is not that bad. And I mean, this would bring snow down to the coast of the Carolinas. This would be a nice little Carolina special. Okay, you could easily get 1 to 3, 2 to 4 with this. Not saying this is not a forecast, by the way, but it's just interesting. I mean, look at that amplification. Okay, it's a near miss for areas north and east. I mean, right off the coast. Okay, but it's that close for a coastal storm for these areas. And it's just exciting for me to see because we haven't seen a coastal storm in so long. At least a good one. So that's our first threat. GFS has it as a near miss. That's why GFS has the next one as a hit. Okay, especially for areas further north and east. Okay, this is a nice one. Why? First of all, trough right here. North Stream energy over here. South Stream gets ahead of it. Okay, runs ahead of it. Neutral. Again, you'd ideally want it negative for even more amplification, but you have it neutral, so it's able to start guiding it south from the south up to the north, and then you have it go negative right here. At least slightest. I mean, this is kind of still neutral. Kind of goes like right here. Yeah, this is honestly still neutral, but you have snow breaking out, like even to the coast. Like even the coast would have to deal with mixing issues. Matter of fact, the coast would probably have the heaviest amount of stuff just from off this storm. Okay, so then you'd go negative right here. This is kind of where you go negative. This is where you really get amplification. I mean, look at New England, Maine, Boston. This would be Boston special. I mean, up here. I mean, it's even coastal Maine might have to deal with some rain with how warm, with how this kind of bombs out. Like 957, that is crazy. That is crazy. Not saying this will happen, but it's a threat. Okay, that's see. Sorry about that extra noise. See how this how you get this kind of near miss, and then you get your big storm. Okay, and then after that, little moderation. Who knows what happens after that? GFS likes another deep trough, and I mean this trough is deep. This goes like all the way over here. Okay, this is deep. This would be some sort of cross-polar flow-ish, I think. I don't know exactly how it looks. But we are getting a cross-polar flow for next week, which is where you have... Here, I'm going to go back to 500 heights real quick. Just space the GFS off of this. Let's kind of go to that trough. So you have cross-polar flow because you have your southern stream down here, through here. North Stream ridge comes through here. You get energy pieces to form, trough over here, and then boom, bring it up the coast, or again, it gets kicked out to sea. So that's your GFS model. How does the Euro look? European, pretty interesting as well. Here's your dynamics from this week, end of this week. Here's your trough, okay? Could be some showers. Here, also kind of a near miss. Here, your energy's 2 ahead almost of this trough, and this trough is still kind of positively negative tilted. It's way out here. Your energy also isn't as consolidated than the GFS shows, so you get a little bit of snow to break out kind of through here. This is first low. Here's your next one, but forms way out to sea, gets kinked out. But after that, look at that storm right there. Okay, now what's interesting about this, it cuts in. Why does it cut? Well, when 500 heights, your kind of Atlantic ridge kind of sabotages you here. You have some marine flow, marine influence. Your trough, still positive tilted. It gets guided up because this ridge is leading it. Warm air is coming in. It's leading it to cut. I'm a little skeptical of this. I don't know if it will cut. Not sure. Just given how our pattern is, that downstream ridging in the west, I don't know how it would look, but it's a cut. Okay, but it just shows how near miss, and then you get a storm. Okay, so we're gonna have to watch that, and then after that, who knows what happens. Euro AI has me a little more excited. Here's your dynamic storm. Here's your pattern change, near miss. Okay, you have energy here, maybe some light snow showers, near miss. Heads out. Boom. Right after that, big storm. Big storm. Kind of a hybrid between Euro and GFS, because this still does cut a little bit. You'll see this 540 kind of retract back. But this is a pretty nice storm for Northeast Mid-Atlantic. At least you got to be a little... I-95 would be tricky. Here's your 540 line. Okay, we're kind of riding just along, if not just north and west. But it would be nice snow event. Just again, take this for a grain of salt. This is literally just a model run. nice snowstorm for these areas right here. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Okay, everywhere is in play though. Like these. Oh, okay, let me redraw that. If you're in this area, you're in play for a winter storm. Okay, I'd maybe even extend down to here. Okay, I-95 definitely. Okay, and so right after that, troughing, and then we'll see what happens. But that's the Euro AI. Last model, AI GFS. How's it looking? Here's your dynamic storm. Trough comes through. Near miss. Almost links up. Brings a little snow for like southern New England. Puts in the Mid-Atlantic, get some light snow. And then you kind of get a link up here. Okay, this is pretty nice. It brings that colder air further deep. And then almost another little clipper. So this is more like small short waves, bringing like 2 to 4, 3 to 5 inch events. Okay, you don't really get a big link up storm with what we have over here. So we'll watch it. But those are all your models. Okay, it just shows that at least compared to the past couple of days, we have energy flying around. It's gonna be hard to nail down until we get into next week. Okay. Last thing I want to leave you off with this video. So this is your 3 to 4 week temperature outlook. This is January 24th, February 6th. This including the next couple weeks. I mean, it shows that ridge. Okay, you see this kind of warmth in the south. That's kind of your southeast ridge. But I mean, you have your ridge here, pretty big. Doesn't show it spiking as much, probably offshore. And then you have your troughing in the east. And I mean, oh boy, this is a nice looking. This is a nice look. Energy can come down here, come up. We'll have to see. It's gonna be. This could honestly cash in areas further south. I mean, we would probably ride the gradients, probably like here. Okay, so we're gonna watch it. It could vary from there. Could get further south. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be fun. January and February, I definitely think so. So I'll keep you guys updated. Have a great weekend. Maybe weekend comes out. Maybe weekend video. I'll let you know, or you'll see for yourself. But yeah, it's gonna be next week. Gonna be interesting. Have a great rest of your day.